Hey everyone, Coach Tall Guy here, coming at you, getting you ready for the best day of the week, which is game day. So in order to make game day great, we need to go over a few things. One, I highly encourage you to ask that you get your teams there about 30 minutes before kickoff. That way it's going to give you plenty of time to warm up. Now I want you guys to understand that you may or may not have some field space to warm up, just depending on the game schedule. So regardless of if the field is available or not, you should have some room on the sideline to get the kids warmed up. So when you're thinking of a warm up, all right, that's part of being game day prepped. You want to make sure it is a warm up. You want the kids moving, you want them getting heart rates up, you want to get them focused, ready for the game to begin. Sometimes I see teams that have these elaborate warm ups, which is it's okay, it's fine, but the main goal is to just get the kids moving, get the kids some touches on the ball, and get them focused for the game. A couple things I would appreciate not seeing, though, in a warm-up is just one line, a pass to the coach lays the ball off, and they have a shot on goal. The reality is, like, it's okay if you want to take the kids you know are going to be playing up front and doing some different shooting activities to get the goalie warmed up. That's great. Than just having one line, a layoff, and a shot. Remember, just having one line, a layoff, and a shot is kind of defeating the purpose of a warm-up. The kids aren't actually getting warmed up. They're standing, they're waiting, they're doing one run-up and then hitting a ball. So I would encourage you guys to do some sort of movement activities without the ball to start. So whether that's some little lines, getting the kids high knees, butt kickers, just jogging in place, then moving down a line, and then incorporating the ball and getting into some passing lanes, some rondos, possession type of activities are going to be great. If you want to, again, pull the forwards off to the side, work with the goalie to warm them up, that's great. If you guys have an assistant coach, I would highly encourage you to use the assistant coach to warm up the goalie while you're working with the rest of the field players. Also, to make game day great, you should have an idea of who's going to play in what positions, what your shape is for the game. So as you go into the game, you kind of have your starting lineup, so to speak. That way you know kind of how you're going to do your sub rotations and whatnot. Now on the subs, remember it's recreational soccer at this level, so everybody should try to get plenty of playing time. That doesn't mean it's going to be equal playing time all the time. A lot of that depends on your numbers, what you got going on, how many kids have shown up, and sub the way you kind of feel. Like, I'm okay if coaches want to put like a watch on it and, hey, after 10 minutes, these kids go in, these kids come off. That's perfectly fine. Or you might be a coach who just subs kind of in the flow of the game. If you see a kid who's just getting tired, you sub them out, or you see a kid who's struggling a little bit, you sub them out. There's not necessarily one way to do it. So kind of experiment with your team. A lot of times, if you have a big team, you kind of got to do the mass substitutions, and I would definitely put some sort of clock on it. Like at this minute, we're going to try to make a mass sub. Also on game day, what will help you out is after your warm up, before the game is about to start, you're bringing your team in, give them some instructions. And what I mean by that is don't overwhelm them with a bunch of things you want them to do for the day. So I've seen some coaches who we're going to play the ball wide, we're going to look to overlap, we're going to make crosses, and then we're going to set up some give and goes. And we want to make sure that we track back on defense, and then we're going to pinch them in the middle, and then we're going to make sure that once we win the ball that we look to play it back to the keeper first and play it out wide. That is like way too much information for the kids going into a game. Remember, this is a game. They're excited, they're pumped. They're just kind of like not always going to be totally focused on you. So if you could just limit your kind of goals for the game to one or two things, I think that's great, particularly like something along the lines of like, hey, boys, girls, defensively, when we lose the ball, let's do our best to just immediately put pressure on the ball. I want to see one of you stop the ball. Pretty simple, pretty easy. It's one thing. Then you can address the offensive side of the ball. Hey, boys, girls, when we win the ball today, I'd love to see us look to make that early pass out wide. So we got to make sure that players are showing to the sidelines so we can get that ball wide. So again, let's stop the ball defensively early. Let's look to get the ball wide on offense. Those are just a couple things where the kids can focus. They kind of get an idea of what you want to see during the game, and it's not going to overwhelm them so their minds aren't thinking too much. Because the reality is, like, game day is really about them. It's them. They're there to play. Hopefully they go out there, compete, have fun, and play hard. And, keep it positive. All right, game day. Be excited yourself. Your excitement's going to also, it's going to wear off on those kids, and they're going to see how excited you are, and they're going to get excited as well. Now, during your game day, I'd really appreciate if you coaches make an effort to go over to the opposing coach, introduce yourself, just say hi, let them know that you're excited to be here. If there's anything that either team needs to be aware of, it's early in the fall, so there's probably not too much information on the team, but as the season goes on, you might say, hey, nice to meet you. My name's Coach so-and-so. Just a heads up, we've been struggling a little bit this season, so just kind of give them an idea. And I think that kind of breaks the ice, lets everybody know you're on the same page. Don't be afraid to, say hi to the referee as well. Let them just know that you're excited for today's game. And, regarding the referees, I want to be very transparent. You guys are going to be having younger officials. You're only going to have one official on the field. And quite frankly, you may not even have a ref show up. So be prepared that there may not be a referee at your game. Unfortunately, we're having just a huge referee shortage in the state of Colorado. So on that note, you need to be kind to our officials. They are going to make mistakes. They're learning the game just like the players. If you have some real issue with the referee, bring it up to them at halftime, but bring it up in a way of like, hey, I'm confused. Can you walk me through this? What were you seeing? With a lot of the young officials too, like just let them know like, hey, would you be okay if you kind of explain your call to the kids versus just calling it? Because a lot of times our players they just don't honestly know what happened. They don't know what they did. So sometimes an explanation from the ref goes a long way. I would also encourage you guys just to make sure that you as a coach are displaying great behavior, because whatever you display from the sidelines is going to wear off on your kids. It's also going to show for your parents. So if you're getting all worked up on the sideline, then the parents are going to start getting worked up. The kids are starting to get worked up, and the game just kind of goes away, and we don't want that. So, yeah, you're in a role model position, and not only are you role modeling for your players, but yes, you're role modeling for those parents, and sometimes the parents may need it more than the kids. But we want parents to cheer appropriately. We want them to have a good time. We want them to be excited to watch their kids, but we just need to keep everything in check. A little reminder for you guys who are coaching the U9s and U10s. Again, remember you're playing 7v7. There is the build-out line. So on that build-out line, when your keeper saves the ball or you're having a goal kick, the other team should retreat behind that build-out line. Now, you might want to encourage your goalies to either get the ball out quickly, but in that case, the opposing team may not get behind the build-out line, which is okay. If you want that space and that time, then you should encourage your goalie to hold on to the ball, let your kids position themselves, let the other team have an opportunity to get behind that build-out line. Now, the opposing team can cross that build-out line the minute the ball is kicked or rolled or throwed. All right, so if it's a goal kick and a player kicks it, the minute that ball is kicked, the opposing team can now go across the build-out line. And that works for you guys as well when you're on defense. The keeper saves it, and they roll it out, they throw it out. The minute that ball releases from the hand, the opposing team can now cross that build-out line. So just give your kids a friendly reminder. That's going to be a little bit confusing. There's no punting, all right? There's no punting at the U9, U10 level. And that's good. That's just good practice. We don't want kids necessarily always using their heads right now. We want them to try to build out of the back, okay? For you guys who are playing in the older groups, the U11s and ups, you're playing 9v9, so you want to kind of think of your team shape. You are allowed to punt the soccer ball. Again, it's not something that I necessarily encourage, but it is something if your team's struggling and building out of the back, you can hit the ball down the field and relieve some pressure, okay? Also on your game day, depending on how the game's going the first half, is going to be an opportunity for you as a coach. You're thinking to yourself, all right, this is going good. This isn't going so good. Then from there, you're going to want to make your halftime decisions, okay, your adjustments, so to speak. Now, you might be crushing the other team, so maybe your halftime adjustment is you're definitely going to move kids who are playing in defense up front. I do encourage at these recreational levels that kids are playing a variety of positions. If your team's struggling during the game, can you make some tactical changes to keep the game a little bit closer? Maybe that means putting more players in the back, or maybe you want to chase the game a little bit and you want to try to get some goals, and you're okay with giving up some goals, and you add some more players up front. Maybe start thinking about, as you start watching as your team plays, you'll get to know your kids more in a real game environment, so you can make some adjustments and put certain players in certain positions where it'll hopefully help your team have some more success. All right. So that halftime, again, should also be a time when you're giving quick explanations to the kids. You're not overwhelming them with information, because again, they're tired. They've just come off half. Maybe they're winning, maybe they're losing. So you got to think about where they are mentally. I would encourage you, though, to just, again, chunk out the information. Don't give them too much. Give them 1 to 2 goals for the next half. All right. At the end of the game, you guys can cheer the other team. Currently, with the COVID stuff going on, we're at a point still where we can go by and give handshakes or high fives. That's okay. If for some reason the team doesn't feel comfortable, at least give a clap, but make sure you're showing good sportsmanship after the game. Make sure as a coach you're thanking the official for their time, saying thank you to the other coach, and then, give a quick debrief to the team. All right. Nothing worse for parents and players is when the coach gives a long end of game speech. I deal with it all the time. Every time I go to my son's high school game, I'm like, oh my God, can we go? Players, they may have won, they may have lost. To be honest, they're like kind of ready to go. And parents, you have to keep in mind that a lot of our parents have other kids, and they might be having to scoot off to another game pretty quick. So, just make it pretty quick and sweet, and just say, hey, boys, girls, congratulations today, or hey, today was a little tough, but we're going to work on some stuff next week in practice. Keep your heads up, or congratulations, guys. We played great today. Can't wait to see you at practice next week. But just kind of be conscious of that and wrap up your end of game speech pretty quick. A couple of tidbits I wanted to give you that work really well for me is whenever I'm bringing my team in and before the game, I'm talking a little bit of tactics, team shape. What I like to utilize quite a bit are cones. Cones are great visuals for the kids. It's pretty simple. You have most of that in your bag. And I like to spread the cones out and particularly put them in our positions. And then I can kind of move the cones while the kids are looking at me as we're talking about our team shape and positioning on the field. It's a good visual for the kids. Some of you might have one of those cool little like dry erase boards or little boards with magnets that you can move the players. That's great too. It's really hard to kind of explain the team shape, the positions, and you don't have some sort of visual for the kids, because we always want to keep in mind these kids are pretty visual learners. Okay, so that's just a little coaching tool that I like to use. It seems to help the players, in my opinion, quite a bit, because they get to see a little bit of what you're talking about. They can kind of see, oh, coach said I'm going to be the right back today, and they can kind of see from that cone like how they're positioned compared to their right midfielder or center midfielder or the forward. That I have those around. I use them. Those are good visual aids for the kiddos. If for any reason, something happens during your game that, is maybe pretty like out of character. So like maybe the ref was really, really bad, really struggling, or copping a huge attitude, or the opposing coach was just, quite frankly, a jerk. Things just didn't feel real great for recreational soccer. Please let me know. I have a great relationship with all the directors, the groups that we partner up with, and I would love to chat with them, because we want this to be a great experience for everyone. And, sometimes on game day, the emotions get high and things can go a little haywire. So just drop me a line if you felt like something was really out of place. But, more often than not, it's very, very rare that we have anything like this happen. We have a great group of coaches. You guys are awesome. The opposing coaches you play, they're there for the kids too as well. And I think, things are going to be great, but every now and then something does come up, and I want to nip that in the bud real quickly. And lastly, just, let me know. Give me an idea of how your team did over the weekend. Drop me a little line, say, hey, we did great, or kind of struggled. The scores are scores. Feel free to let me know the score of games as well. But more importantly, I kind of want to know, like, what did the kids learn? How did they play? What are some things that maybe I could help you with? any questions you have, that's going to help kind of guide me to help your team perform on game day. All right. So to reiterate, have fun out there. All right. Be prepared for your warm up. Get the kids moving. Avoid the lines. Have your starting lineup. Chunk out the information. Give them a couple goals. Halftime, make your adjustments. All right. End the game. You wrap it up. You're quick. You're sweet. Be awesome with our officials. All right. And make sure you really introduce yourself. Say hi to the opposing coach. And overall, we're going to have a great time on game day. Thank you guys for all you do. Appreciate you so much. I'll be walking around the fields this Saturday, so I'll stop by, say hi, cheer the kiddos on, and looking forward to getting the season started. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.